Okay, so part two of tailoring the twitches. So last time I was cutting out the pieces for this pattern, which is a pair of 1940s trousers. So I've got the pattern pieces, sort of the main leg bits, back. There's a front there, and a few sort of extra little fiddly bits. Pocket facings, belt loops. Well, I wanted to make it with braces pockets, so I'm not going to use that. Back pocket facings and the flies. I have decided that I don't want to use back pocket facings because I actually don't use back pockets. Most trousers have two pockets down the back here and two at the front here. I have my phone in one of these front pockets, so that's useful, and they're kind of structurally relevant on trousers. The back pockets are just cuts into the back fabric, and they make it harder to get right. They make it harder for the trousers to lie flat, and I basically don't put anything in them. I don't have anything that would go in there and be comfortable to sit down. In fact, let me show you. I'll just go and get something. I'll go and get a pair of trousers. Okay, so what I have here is a pair of trousers that I made before. So a different but basically similar pattern to a sort of modern pattern. I'm going to switch to the table camera. I had feedback last time that the legs of the iPad tripod were in the way, and so I have moved that, and you can't see them at all. But so here's the front of my trousers, and what you may be able to see here is what I was talking about the sort of structural nature of the front pocket. The front piece, this is the front of the trouser leg. Obviously, this is the back of the trouser leg here. The front of the trouser leg takes a dive. It bends at this point and comes up to meet the waistband up here. And this part is the side pocket facing. So the front is attached to the pocket. The back is attached to the side pocket facing. The side pocket facing, this is like a song, isn't it? The side pocket facing is attached to the pocket, but the front isn't attached to the back, which means that you can get your hand into the pocket. Now that means that if you don't put side pockets on, you've got to alter the shape of the front of the trouser leg to go up here rather than kind of across here. So I'm going to leave those in, and I do use front pockets. If the fly were done up, then you would see nice straight. These have got zip flies, and I'm going to use button flies. But on the back, these don't actually sit particularly well. This is my first ever attempt at making trousers. I used the foolish idea of making them with real trouser fabric, and you can see this pocket kind of does something weird at the back that arches up over. So if I hold this up here, you've got this sort of weird shape where ideally this would kind of sit straight and kind of hide whatever is going on with this sort of back piece. This one is done rather better. It doesn't sort of poke out like the right one does. The left one looks better, but it still isn't perfectly straight. So this should be sitting up here, and then it would be a nice straight tidy pocket. So I have two options here. One is that learn how to do this, which I will definitely do, but the other is not put back pockets on. And I don't need back pockets in my trousers, so I'm just going to take the executive decision not to make them. And what today's stream will be, which probably won't take too long. You can see I've got a cutting mat out here. I'm going to cut the pieces that I do need, which are the front and the back, obviously, like the trouser legs. I need a waistband, and I need a set of side pockets. I didn't have a pattern piece for pockets when I traced out all of the patterns, and what I suspected and what turns out to be the case is in here it just tells you to make the pockets by cutting appropriately sized squares of pocket material, and then sort of cutting them to vaguely the right shape. Hello, the only Mrs. Baker. Great to see you. So yeah, I don't get I don't get a pattern piece for the pockets. I get told cut two 14 by 14 inch squares, and then shape them so that they look like this diagram. Well, you know what the best way to shape a piece of fabric would be is if I was given a template. But there we go. So I'm going to be cutting today, and I'm going to use this fabric, which isn't what I showed you last time. In fact, I haven't even got this out of the packet yet. I am going to make these out of this calico. Let me switch to table cam. So this is a sort of fairly heavy but incredibly cheap canvas type fabric. It won't sit the same as the final fabric, which is much sort of well, probably about the same weight, but just a much more flexible wool suiting fabric. So this is going to like feel a bit weird as a pair of trousers, but obviously it's kind of looks like a cheap canvas material. But what it does is it gives me the opportunity to cut out and put the pattern together and find out how I need to alter it. And I know that I will need to alter the I will need to alter the length of the legs, because I have really short legs. I have like a 30-inch inseam, and it is common for for men to just sort of not only be taller. I think like there was a time when my height would have been about average for an adult man, and now I am definitely on the short side. But also my I think I talked about it this last episode. My torso is long in comparison with my leg length, so I have like these stubby little legs and then quite a long body. So I will want to. These are designed for a 32-inch inseam, and I would almost certainly want to shorten them, which you do at the. Where did I put these? You do that at the knee, because if you look at these, they are shaped such that like your bum fits in this bit here, and then it comes down to your knee, and then sort of tapers in towards your leg. So if you take them from here, if you just like take them up like this, and they'll be really wide at the bottom. If you can't take them up from here, because then you won't have enough space for your bum to fit. So what you do is at the point where the knee is, you just sort of bring this in, and then that's how you shorten them. Now I might do that. I might just get away with putting a really small cuff in the end, and that depends like how how wide they end up if I do that. So that's one place where they're going to need to be altered. And the other question I haven't explored yet is how the relative size of like my waist measurement comes out when I try to make the one that matches my waist measurement. And if they're really baggy, then I will just redraw the pattern at a size down. If they're a bit baggy, I might just be able to pin them and then alter the pattern. But the first challenge I'm going to have, I've extended my table to try and get this all to fit, is I want to like lay it out with all of the pattern pieces on it so that I get a fairly efficient use of the fabric. The fashion industry is fairly wasteful. Oh yes, this, I've got no idea what this is, but I definitely have used some of it before, because I can see like chalk marks and cut marks on it. It is a fairly like light, thin cotton. I expect I used it to line something in the past, but evidently ended up with like loads of it left over. And so this is the thing I'm going to make the pocket linings definitely for this mock-up out of. I don't think I will use it for the final suit. The suit material, you may not remember, was the sort of grey and blue wool, and I just discovered that the grey pocket linings in here, where's the lens? There we go. That looks like it would be a good match. So I'll find the fabric that I made that out of for making the final pockets. So I want to lay out all of the pieces before I cut any of it. This pattern and patterns from this company in general don't come with lay guides, which are on like a modern pattern. You would have arrows showing where the grain lines go, and then you would have a just a little sketch that shows you where on the fabric to place all of the pieces, such that you end up with like the most efficient use of the fabric for the. And I'm going to have to put the laptop on top of the fabric, I think, to fit this on the table. So that you end up with the most efficient use of the fabric that still allows everything to follow the grain lines, next to the edge of the fabric. These patterns don't have that, so I have to sort of make it up to some extent. As I say, this is fairly cheap fabric, so I don't mind going too bad on this. So I want to be fairly efficient. I want to get something that is, basically going to be useful. So the two big bits are the fronts and the backs. That is the front. This is going to just roll itself up. I'm just going to have to deal with that. I'm wondering whether I can even consider getting the two of them next to each other, and it looks unlikely unless I put them back to front. It is possible that if I put them that way round, then the narrow end of this bit won't interfere, but I guess not. I'm going to pin one of them down and then we'll see, and if it doesn't work then it's not the end of the world. I can just put them alongside each other and put all the little bits like the pocket facings in that bit, and I'll end up with some vastly underused stretches of fabric, but those will go into my sort of spare offcuts collection and find their way into pockets or into like mock-ups of other things, so it won't be the end of the world. So this is boring bit where I'm actually trying to do something and conversation falls off a cliff. So if there is more than one of you watching, which I don't know, then talk amongst yourselves, maybe introduce each other, find out where you're all from, what if any garments you are making at the moment, and I will be back with you as soon as I can stop thinking about things and start talking again. I see some activity in the chat. I'm kind of sat at a weird angle, so I can't read the chat, but it's good that you are getting acquainted with one another. I've got the the slightly embarrassing thing that having reconfigured the camera, you can all see my book collection, and what you're supposed to do when you're a Twitch streamer is have a shelf full of topic relevant material. I don't have topic relevant material visible on the shelves. The big book you see here is The Making of the Atomic Bomb, which is slightly disturbing perhaps, and then the massive collection of Mac programming guides. So SR Baker, hello to you. There are at least two of you, and you think you've met. Well, as the other one of you is Mrs. Baker. It would seem like a good a good initial step in a marriage, certainly. I'm sure that there are those who don't worry and get on fine, but each their own. Okay, so this is going to fit. Like I say, I'm maybe kind of ignoring the grain direction of the fabric, but the pattern doesn't tell me what that is, so that's not super surprising. But I can fit this. Okay, it goes over the edge a bit. If I rotate it slightly, it will fit, and there's enough of a gap down here that I don't worry about sort of colliding, cutting through one piece when I'm cutting the other. It is a bit cozy, and I might not want to do that for a real pair of trousers, but it'll be fine for a mock-up. Actually, if I move this over here a bit, then it doesn't use anywhere near as much space, and it is absolutely fine. The patterns I'm using have got the seam allowances inside this, so and this I think is a cultural difference and possibly a historical difference as well, but certainly British patterns tend to include the seam allowance inside the template, and American patterns tend not to include it, so that you actually cut a loose sort of 5/8 inch space around the edge of the fabric, around the edge of the pattern. These include the seam allowance, so I don't need to do that, which means that even if these basically touched, I would have enough fabric to make the garment. This does come right onto the edge of the piece of fabric here, which in a real garment would be a problem, because this bit has been sewn slightly differently just to sort of indicate the edge and to stop it fraying while it's on the bolt. That would be a problem on the real garment, because then I'd have a weird sort of thick bit or crease. For this mock-up, it will be not a problem at all. Right then, of the weird, like little cabbagey bits, I don't know whether those of you who are watching were here at the start, but I'm not going to make back pockets, so I don't need a back pocket facing. I do need the side pocket facing because I do need the side pockets. They help to keep the fabric together. I can just stick that up in the corner there. I do need a fly, and that will fit in there. And this only needs 2, so that's good. Some designs have 4 fly pieces where you have one. You basically make a bag for the front fly, and then you have a piece behind that, and then the zip, and then a piece behind. This one only has 2, one per side, and I'm going to make a button fly, so I don't need to worry about how the how the zip is going to get hidden, because it ain't. Okay, well that's pretty. No. Every so often I find a pin in here that has been bent, and they have typically been bent by being sewn over by the machine, and presumably at the time that I do it I don't notice and just put the pin back away. Right, so do want side pocket facing, they can go there, and will want belt loops. Where did that bit go? Oh, here. Will they both fit? They will both fit. These side pocket facings, there was a mark on the pattern that this edge is supposed to be the salvage of the fabric, so this is supposed to go against this bound bit here. Oh, and actually there is enough like pointless spare space down there that I might just put it there and actually achieve that, although it doesn't really matter for making a mock-up. Mock-up is sometimes called a toile. I don't know why. I don't know enough about fabric terminology and garment making terminology to be particularly educational on this stream. I can just share what I'm doing with you, and hopefully none of us get bored, and it's slightly more sociable than just sitting on my own, working on a sewing machine. Keep losing things because I had about tracing paper is surprisingly easy to hide against itself. Now I suspect belt loops might want to go this way round. I don't know. There's different stretch in the fabric if you go across or along. Slightly stretchier in that direction. Do you want belt loop stretch? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'll do it this way. Where do you go? There you are. Ow. Well, not going to bleed too much over the garment. That's okay. Right, so that's actually worked out quite nicely that I don't need to use too much length of the fabric. You can tell I bought a ridiculously big piece of fabric, but this will go into any other mock-up of a garment I want to make. I probably will want to have a go at. I've done one for the jacket, which we will see. I probably don't need to do one for the waistcoat because I've made enough waistcoats that I feel confident about that. So this will be future mock-up for future projects, or actually this is thick enough that this can be the canvas that goes inside a jacket and keeps the jacket sort of structure shaped properly. Right, so next up is cutting. Now you can see that I'm not using scissors, I'm using one of these rotary cutters, which is just like a it's a pizza slice that you would kill someone if they ever used it on a pizza, is all it is, but it's sharp enough that it's got a sort of retractable blade. But yeah, like it is just a fancy pizza slice. So that will protect the table. Notice this is the biggest cutting board I can find. You can get like cardboard cutting mats for dressmaking that are good for using scissors over. Like you just pick your fabric up and cut down it with scissors. This is what you need for going with one of those blades. It's self-healing. So because you're going to be pushing down into your table otherwise, and it is the length between my waist and my knee. So I just end up having to like shuffle this thing around a bit and cut various bits separately. That's not the biggest of deals. What time is it? Okay, 10:15. I might just do the cutting and then call it a stream and leave the sewing for another time because I have work in the morning like a wage slave, like the wage slave that I am. Got to be fresh for the man tomorrow. Flies. Is the the one thing I've noticed, these things are super fast. You can cut fairly accurately and fairly easily, and what I've noticed is you just occasionally get a a single piece of like a single thread of the fabric left over that doesn't play nicely, and so you end up with it not quite going through. He's cutting it on the table. Yes, I'm cutting it through a mat. I showed up for a sewing stream and some dude chucks his fly at me. Well, that's the fast paced and sexy world of garment making there, SR Baker. That's just the way we roll. Right, how far? There's as far as I can go, so I'm going to cut that bit. Also, this is going to be depressingly light on sewing content, SR Baker, because I'm not actually going to get as far as sewing tonight. That's going to be easy with my right hand. That did go through to the table. Oh well, it's one of those low quality Swedish tables from IKEA, so I'm not too concerned about its survival. And then I can probably do this end of that one as well. And that will be no use to anyone. Some people keep, in fact I do this, I'm a bit of a hoarder, keep bits of spare fabric that they call cabbage for, just like doing strips of like bias around the edge of things, or for when you need like a little bit of the inside of a pocket or whatever. Those are really small, and that kind of heavy canvas, it doesn't lend itself to many very small kind of projects. So that unfortunately is just going straight in the bin. Also, it's a small house and I have to be somewhat selective about what I keep. Because it's filling up with Amigas, thanks to SR Baker and Mrs. Baker. Not quite cut through at where the board ends. There we go. Impressive wheelie cutting skills. I cut myself immediately by grazing the razor sharp blade while doing some leather making yesterday. And then a bit of incorrection over the quantity of cuts. These are I think I said before the sewing machine was invented for leather cutting, not for dressmaking. But yeah, that's why I was saying you would kill anyone if you use this for a pizza. Fabric knives, fabric blades stay incredibly sharp if you use them on fabric, and go to shit if you ever try to use them on paper. And you know, obviously, like leather is a completely different beast and a very different thing to try and work with. So yeah, these things do stay sharp, and I have learned to respect them and to never put my finger anywhere near that end. My cat, on the other hand, has not learned anything about anything, despite my best efforts as an educator. And will come up and go, "Oh look, Daddy, it looks like you're trying to play with a sharp blade. Let me sit in front of it while you're trying to cut something." He's temporarily... When I say he's temporarily asleep in the other room, it is very difficult to find a cat that spends any more time sleeping than mine. Little does he know that, like his owner, he's got a vaccine coming up in his future. Right, one bit left. It's not going to come out. There we go. What I do is I leave these sort of pinned up until I need them, because then I remember which piece is which, because I've got the writing on the pattern piece that tells me what they are. That's why cats have 9 lives. That's why they blooming need 9 lives. They're going to spend all that time faffing about near humans with blades, or trying to walk across electric hobs with the other idiotic things that cats do. I suppose it's why they don't feel the need to learn anything as well. Just get another go at it in the future. Right, so pocket facings, trouser fronts, trouser backs, belt loops and flies. That is enough for tonight. The plan for the make for this mock-up is to do almost everything that the instructions say. However, let me see if I can find the relevant bit over here. There's a lot of faff, a lot of prep that goes into preparing specifically the backs. So transfer dash lines from the backs to the crotch inlay and the back pockets. Well, I'll do it for the crotch inlay. I'm not going to do it for the back pockets, because I'm not making back pockets. Sew the darts in. I want to do that so that I know whether they are shaped and sized correctly when I've made them. Cut a 2 small squares from lining material, double them into a triangle, and then sew each of those to the crotch. That's not... And then it says, as shown in the illustration on the right. This is one of the things I don't like about this particular maker, is that illustration there doesn't actually have a triangle of fabric drawn on it. To reinforce the crotch area, well, I don't need to do that for a mock-up because it doesn't matter if they fall apart. I'm only going to wear them once. And then overcast all raw edges to prevent their raveling. I don't intend to do that either because, like, you know, if it falls apart after I've tried them on, it's not a big deal. And so then I will make the pockets, which is the next bit. I won't make the back pockets, which is the subsequent bit. I obviously will sew the side seams. I did cut the belt loops, so I don't need them because I want to make I want to use buttons. So there's a spare piece of fabric that I won't need, but I won't make the belt loops. I will need the fly in the top. Won't make a watch pocket, and then I will sew the legs together, and then and then stick the waistband on. So yeah, at some point we will get to, and then I won't line it either because I'm only going to use them for sizing. So there shouldn't be too much in making the mock-up, and then I'll be able to try them on, adjust the pattern, and make the real trousers. That is all coming in a future episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this kind of thing, patreon.com/IamLeeG, patreon.com/IAMLEEG. See you next time. We're going to call it there.